Ladies and Germans, how you all doing? This is Con Ulrich.
This is Rangru. Hello, hello, hello.
And folks, this is from the monthly tournament over here. This is actually on Orsha East. There's a lot of action here, so Rang, what's going on? Real quick.
Left-hand side, blue, FaridRommel, first Lovas, Maverick. Right-hand side, red, DarkNeutron, 6th Airborne, Maverick, because got, holy crap. Both sides really invested in the early game air power.
Well, we have the Mosquito dropping flames, so that way the early breakout can't happen. We have an artillery barrage going the other direction. Very, very unique breakouts here. Actually, I love this.
Yeah, it's a heavy investment from airplanes from both sides. So, of course, that Napalm dropping in an absolutely perfect spot. Some real war game airland battle, ST-44 type cheese, right? Yeah. And DarkNeutron is going to be driving himself into an artillery barrage.
But the artillery barrage is a bit more meager, and the early shots here have not done a whole lot of there. I mean, there's one kill, but not quite the same kind of devastation you might be hoping for. Air landing troops being aggressed extremely optimistically.
Yeah, that leader is really one to lead by example, and he doesn't even have any anti-tank grenades, so he's not going to be all that great. All the air landings are actually being forced to fall back, so the Reed's also opener has worked out quite well in stopping Dark from getting a good, from really exploiting that flame, so that flame rush. So it's pretty even Stevens on the hill.
Oh, and you gotta love that. I mean, like, we're so used to just seeing that super early break, especially on Orsha East. Whoever controls the spice, I mean, controls the middle of the map, you know, controls really the entirety of Orsha East here. Not so much this time around, though.
No, it's... I mean, both sides definitely realize just how important it is and investing quite heavily. We're going to see Tetrarchs and Toadies go at it, a really odd little tank battle here.
And first Toadie kind of going down, Tetrarch not too far behind. But yeah, air landing troops very much out of position here, except for one brave trooper coming on forwards. Actually, I really love how much we're seeing this early air power. This can be devastating to both sides.
Yeah, Farid using his Fokker-Wolf recon quite effectively to just spot everything on the ground, and he's gonna... Is he gonna cluster a Tetrarch?
Yes, he is.
He's gonna do it, isn't he? That's what he's gonna do. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But you know what? What else is he gonna hold on to it for? We know, of course, for how the army breakout is in the first place. That 6th Airborne, that A phase tanks. What are you gonna worry about? A Centaur?
Yeah.
You might as well.
No, you have a good point. There's really not a whole lot of juicy targets, so you gotta get what you're given. Another Fokker-Wolf, 189 recon, dropping in some bombs, and Farid doesn't have a whole lot of infantry on the hill, but these Toadies are doing pretty decent work.
He's got to watch out for the 6-pounder, though, because the 6-pounder is sitting in a rough ambush position. I say very rough ambush position. But yeah, those 38Ms, they're not really made to take on anti-tank, and both of them go down 1-2. One from a very long-range Piat shot.
Oh, very good shot there from the Airland, and that's gonna reverse the tempo back into DarkNeutron's favor, yeah?
Here goes another artillery barrage. So I'm expecting being called on that force would be a very, very good call. Once again, 6th Airborne, fantastic infantry. I would call fantastic infantry. I mean,
yeah,
better than average infantry for sure.
No, they're very good. But there's also the same thing with the Hungarians.
Exactly.
But both sides have real powerhouses. Airborne troops have a bit better firepower, but the Hungarians are beefy.
Yes. They very, very beefy. And we can see right now 13-11 against FaridRommel. Down south, a bit of a attempted push here. They're gonna get through that first layer. I don't know about the second or third here, but the first layer for sure. But with the Ox and Bucks, oh my gosh. Those Canadian paratroopers, man, they're vicious. They are just vicious fighters.
This is just a ridiculous amount of firepower that DarkNeutron has, and Farid may have beefy troops, but not beefy enough, and this is just begging to get bombed in. I'm racing for that to happen, but fortunately for DarkNeutron, there's no, I'd say Germans, Hungarians in the sky.
I think right now, though, a lot of this early material, again, you use the flame troops as breakwaters. Yes, you know they're going to die in the first place. That sucks. What a shame. But they still are able to kind of hold up the troops for a couple of seconds here. And like you said, what do we have? 189 coming back in. We have the Ju-87 coming back in with the other 189. So, a little strange that we see other clusters being used on infantry, but hey, 2 kilogram bombs are 2 kilogram bombs, so...
Yeah, it's probably going to try to use the clusters just to stress out the infantry, as we've seen every now and again players doing that because it is very effective at stressing everyone out, but also regular high explosive bombs can be pretty good in that role as well.
That Focke-Wulf 189, if he hasn't paid himself off already, it's awfully close. It really is.
He's been bombing the absolute crap out of the airborne troops here, and Farid once again going to be doing a counterattack with just a single Terran 2.
Well, and that's the funny thing here is the first Lovas with those Terrans, we have one to the north that was doing alright, and I say alright until that 6-pounder kind of engaged him. But, yeah, it's so strange to just watch first Lovas go up against a group that is pretty much as vehicularly deficient as they.
Yes.
But, let's see. We got a couple of Arcas moving in. We have Hussars. Actually, we have a lot of Hussars. And heck, even bringing in some more Flame Troops. So we're really trying to take back that southern position. Middle, both sides, kind of trying to catch their breath a second. You can look, of course, to the eastern side of that main arterial on the hill and just see how devastating that fight is. And up to the northern post of that town, a bit of a strange, disembarking over here from the Arcas. They're not going to come out on the top side of this.
Nope, those airborne troops as well as the Oxen Bucks are going to get in quite close here. And yeah, I think if the Oxen Bucks will be able to clear out the Hussar Rocks. Oh,
nope,
actually,
nope.
no, going to engage at long range, which is not ideal. If they get a few meters closer, they could probably chuck a good old bundle grenade.
Exactly. Now, 189 coming back in, looking for the Oxen Bucks. But there are a couple of Polstons now. Polstons and the Tempest. This is a dead at 189. The hero is going to die. There we go.
Yep. But yeah, we're roughly 7 odd minutes into the match, and it's still pretty even. Farid definitely has lost a little bit of temper at the start, thanks to DarkNeutron having a good control over the hill and not really fully capturing it. So, I don't know, maybe... I mean, this northern push here for Farid definitely has some potential. Really... Just looking at it, all the areas really have potential.
Well, I'm just watching this fight down to the south of the Arcas. We have Hussardoks, all those guys kind of moving on in. And the air landing troops. I mean, this is knife fighting in the forest. Like these are vicious firefights down here.
Yeah, the Hungarians is holding on to dear life with their beefy boys, but DarkNeutron has taken pretty heavy casualties with his infantry, so he's not doing great either. But the flamethrower is coming in clutch.
I haven't really appreciated how good those Bren guns are.
Yeah.
I mean, jeez, okay, 189's bombing. The Tempest is probably going to pick up another kill, maybe? I'm going to watch down to the south. Yep.
Clustering him.
Yep.
He really wants to make sure they run away.
By the way, the other 189 has just died to the northern side, so no more heroes. And you know what? Until Phase B, that actually is a pretty big loss, I would argue.
Yeah, it was both of his recon. Well, he also has the off-map artillery one, I believe, but still, that's a pretty heavy loss, because that's just been very good eyes on the front line, as well as blowing up a bunch of British and Canadian airborne troops.
Mm-hmm.
But the southern flank is starting to look pretty good here for Farid, as he is able to pretty much capture the forest. The main thing is now getting anti-tank, to try and ward off any, further pushes by zoning out the open area.
I was trying to think about the Tetrarch and any kind of HE damage it potentially could do, but who really cares? Like, congratulations, waste your machine gun ammo on me. As long as... Oh, no, he can't. He can't engage these air landing troops moved on in. This is a bit of a problem. I thought he had a really great position here to kind of engage incoming troops. Not to be able to do so. And as we look down to the southern side, we actually might be missing a little bit of the Canadian pairs making their own push here in the center.
Oh, yeah. Quite a lot pushing up here. really just early game air landings are a pretty damn decent infantry squad.
Hmm.
They don't have the survivability, but just honestly, just having a Piat for 20 points is not bad. I mean, it's still a Piat at the end of the day, but it's better than having nothing.
True, true, and so many of these troops otherwise do have nothing. Those brave Canadian paras, while toting around, their love of Queen and country still not the most effective fighters when even against those light Terrans and Toldies.
Yeah. I feel like the problem here that DarkNeutron is starting to suffer from is that he doesn't have enough fire support backing up his infantry. He has a lot of infantry and they're very good, but those Hungarian beefy boys are hard to knock down unless you can get really close quarters. So you need to use those Tetrarchs and really just Tempest and Centaurs, as we're seeing now, being brought up to just bomb the crap out of everything.
And we are to phase B here. It is 13-11. It's down south. One, pretty much clutch of bombs falling on the lead Hungarian role. I know troops here have kind of gone down. I have discovered, I've been watching, as we look to the north, see another fight kind of petering out here. A lot of Terrans have been trading out with the Tetrarchs pretty much one-to-one. You actually see a lot of mutual kills. As a shot goes from one direction to the other, everyone just kind of getting murked one side after each.
The Tetrarchs are actually in a tank engagement where they can actually do some damage for runs, which is quite weird. It's still not ideal for DarkNeutron because he does not have as many tanks compared to the Hungarians. He does get some better runs in B-phase, of course, with some Cromwells, but still, numbers rise, he can't really be trading out too much.
And that's kind of the consistent message, isn't it? Is looking at the Hungarians, honestly, I think, even check out the decks that we have here, pretty much across the board, there technically should be more Hungarians, except for anti-air. Other than that, in AAA, is the only area where the 6th Airborne, I would argue, has a pure numbers parity, let alone a quality parity.
Yeah, it's really going to be about good use of those Tempest bombers for 6th Airborne to, continuous momentum, potentially, because they've lost, or DarkNeutron, I should say, has lost momentum. Farid managing to tick him down to the same score. Down south, Dark is making progress, but he's taken pretty heavy casualties. I don't know how long his push can continue on for.
Exactly. Especially when he gets that last, Gebotteledung off over here from the brave Archers right before they go down.
Yeah, very clutch, and that's going to buy Farid some time to bring in some more reinforcements, which isn't a whole lot. And DarkNeutron are going to be bringing in some Grenadiers now to fill in the front line.
Now, northern side, there's this kind of tentative push by Lovas and a couple of Hussars. And you can see right now, it is going to lose the -2 bleed that we had been seeing before. But, in the big grand scheme of things, that -2 bleed was the only thing that was keeping... Oh no, it's back up. Jeez.
Yep.
I thought that was going to be a lost flag to the northern side, but apparently CTF is not a strong point of the 6th Airborne right now.
Yeah, so it's taken them a little bit too much time to actually push on through and capture those important zones. We're seeing 2 Tehran runs being brought in. And that center is a pretty nasty 95mm gun, but this isn't War Thunder. High explosive is pretty crap against tanks.
Yep. Now these Voltigeurs over here, brave lads all, but they're not going to get close enough to actually use those gammon bombs.
Yeah. And Farid definitely in the center just has firepower superiority, bringing in all his infantry, using the off-map to clear up the last remnants in that hill. And it's just good use of... Well, actually got an 81mm in the center. Actually, going to be doing some counter battery, I believe, in those potions, which is a very good target.
Ooh, yeah, that's actually perfect. Now... unless he's aiming too far south. No, okay, he's bracketing.
It's just gonna be very inaccurate, but it is anti-air, so it does take more damage to ground fire.
105 also engaging the 6-pounder, the Grenadier squad here, and being very effective at that. Actually, there's another one to the northern side as well, so off-map already being deployed here for the first time, what feels like a good, hefty chunk of time here. Yeah, this is actually starting to go very, very well over here for Rommel.
Yep, he's managing to keep up his momentum. We're seeing another cluster strike onto infantry up north here. He's going to pay for it with his life as the Tempests do come in and get a very good intercept. Yeah, the DarkNeutron is just not getting very efficient trades. He's in another bloody meat grinder down south with his Grenadiers Vote, which are pretty good infantry, but those Hungarian flamethrower troops can take quite a few down with them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they are truly terrifying.
Yeah, it's just a lot of firepower. And the central push, almost, DarkNeutron is kicked off the hill. He's bringing in a whole heap of troops as well as some Cromwells to help try and do a counterattack up here. Honestly, I don't know, if he uses his Cromwells effectively, he does have a pretty good shot of getting back onto the hill. There's not a whole lot of anti-armor he has to worry about, especially from the Hungarian infantry.
I was actually spending some time watching that northern push here, but you're right, as the Grenadiers kind of make a bit of a tentative push in. Oh, the Turan's not in a great position. I understand why he's watching the road, but I feel like your opponent hasn't made a push on the road in a fair bit of time. It's time to kind of rotate a little bit further north. That's just a me thing. At that point, I think I start to get really kind of squirrely about my flanks. But
Seen the mortars once again firing.
Far more accurate this time. He's got the range. As I say, Caster's Curse might be kicking in, because now, I mean, he's got some some stress, but he's not getting a whole lot of killing at this.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. He hasn't killed a single guy in like 10 shots.
Yeah, he's got 25 rounds. He's using, 20 of them, and yeah, not a whole lot has happened.
Yeah, and down south is still just an absolute meat grinder. Oh, I do like that Tehran run position on the hill, because he's going to be able to shoot down reinforcements as they come in. And for 6th Airborne, with not a whole lot of, tanks available, a Tehran run in a position like that can be a pain in the ass.
Exactly. There's a big reason why we have that 16-8, though, is that these light tanks, when there's nothing that can be scary, let's say, to them, they can be very, very devastating.
Yeah, and we just haven't really seen much air power here from DarkNeutron. He's really just trying to buy a lot of infantry up into the battlefield, but Farid has him pretty much locked down. And we're also seeing a Tempest up north.
We also see a Nimrod as well, so irony of ironies going on here.
And then with the other 40 mil, Farid is going to have enough anti-air to zone out any northern airplane attacks.
Now, we do have an off-map 203 being called on the central hill, and I think this, garnered with an actual push, would be more than enough. Because, geez, hit anything with enough firepower like this is going to be absolutely, devastating. I guess the question is whether or not he pushes all these tanks first, or he kind of runs up with those AB engineers. My guess is the AB engineers more than anything else.
Yeah, you want to lead with the infantry, because he really cannot be affording to lose any of his tanks, as he has a very good limited amount of those Centaurs and Cromwells left.
So, the 203 is going to start to engage, but I'm actually going to watch down south as the 105 off-map also goes over here for FaridRommel, because that's going to be its own level of just absolute destruction. And here we go, jeez.
Oh.
Leader squad down, 3 squads already falling back, a 4th, these new HMGs that are right there. One's already completely pinned. Yeah, this is not a pretty sight.
No, that was a very effective bomb and run, or airstrike. Not bloody hell, word. Artillery strike, that's the proper definition. But Racine Farid isn't really following up yet. I think he's still waiting for the barrage to finish, so the Tehran on the hill does go down to a pesky Cromwell.
Well, the Tehran's in the meantime, as the Cromwells get pushed in, the Cromwells are starting to get taken out by the Tehran 2s.
Oh, wow. And we're seeing counter battery here from DarkNeutron trying to hit his 81mm mortars. He does have those 75mm howitzers, which honestly maybe were helpful a little bit earlier, but they are actually going to be providing some very effective counter battery, knocking out 1 mortar already.
I just have to continue to watch this tank fight as it kind of continues to develop, and it's still 15-9 though in favor of FaridRommel over DarkNeutron. The infantry fight is not quite been as much at close quarters. I think as the 6th Airborne really should be trying to push it.
Yeah, down south he's been fighting pretty CQC, but just thanks to the Hungarian CQC infantry such as Pioneers and flamethrower troops. He's been managing to hold his own quite well, or could Tempest strike down south, but DarkNeutron doesn't really have much infantry left to really keep up his momentum in the southern push.
Well, and that, anti-aircraft platform says, hey, you Nimron, and doesn't quite take out the Tempest, but there's a weird sort of delicious irony that just having a Nimrod be the anti-air net against an airborne division.
Yeah.
Sweet mother of Mary. Do you see that reinforcement column?
Oh, that's
ill-advised.
That's a lot of dudes. That's pretty much the Gambit push. That's all of his tanks left at this point, I think. So he is just going to... Yeah, he's got the off-map artillery aimed in the central position, but Farid also has the same idea.
And yes, a 203 is super scary, but a 105 gets better coverage.
Yeah.
So, these AP engineers, they're going to be pretty much... This is a stillborn push. It can't be huge. Yes, he's going to get a lot of damage here, but... This is the end game right here, isn't it?
Yeah, that pretty much buys Farid time. Yes, he's going to take casualties from the 203 strike, but both sides are going to be halted from the attack, and that benefits Farid, considering his massive point advantage.
Now, the Terrans are going to go down bravely, for sure. I mean, not just yet, but they will go down pretty soon here. First one kind of going down already. We have any kind of... Where's that second line? Okay, the 40 mil, the Hetzer. Yeah, I mean, there's potential across the board, but I would really kind of caution against being too gung-ho about this.
Yeah, I mean, the tech trucks can really only do so much. Lack of high explosive shelf really hinders them. It's going to come down to the Cromwells, and that cavalry charge has already taken a few casualties from him.
It has, and it's kind of funny, too, because I think right now, Farid's like, yes, I'm taking losses, but he's pushing, I think, even more in the south.
Yeah, he's got the flanks under control, and at 140 mil on Jagdpanzer is holding the line. I mean, it's taking lots of firepower, but those two guys have definitely slowed down this attack a bit.
And bringing the reinforcements. Yeah, exactly.
Cromwell's really making the end game. If he gets to the other side of that hill, he should be upgraded to a Challenger. A Challenger 2, that is, preferably. That's what DarkNeutron needs at this point.
Well, yes, but unfortunately this isn't really Smash right now because a new Challenger is not appearing.
It's just more Hungarian Hussars. Fortunately, there's no anti-tank grenades, so DarkNeutron can just sit about and fire at him with the Cromwell, but he doesn't have his infantry coming up because they're all been kind of panicked by the artillery.
I've got to love a little bit of this. We'll get to this in just a moment here. As the 40 mil is actually engaged in the Cromwell. So technically he can kill, and he does kill. Wow. Yeah. But up to the northern side, there were 3 Daimler Littlejohns engaging a Terran 1. And the Daimler Littlejohn is such a fascinating. I think it's just like, how can we put the biggest bang for our buck on here and give it still absolutely no survivability? I know, we'll make a Daimler Littlejohn.
We need it to penetrate more. Squeeze the bullet.
Exactly.
We'll just squeeze it through the armor, or find a hole. What an odd just design. I mean, the Germans experimented too with squeeze ball guns, but there's a good reason they didn't really catch on.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Down to the south, there's 2 squads of airborns, so 1 landing troop and 1 HMG. Hunkered down to the side in just abject fear. And outside of that, I mean... Oh wait, this Jagdpanzer's hit in this middle push.
Yeah, he's in a really good flanking position here at long range. Those Hetrucks can do bugger all against that Hetcher, because that Hetcher is going to hatch.
He absolutely is. And the Cromwell, realizing it, of course, trying to get to close grips with anything else besides that Hetcher behind him. But it's still 14-10, and as much as this middle position is being held by DarkNeutron, that's not going to be enough.
No, it's a pretty good push now from DarkNeutron, because he is thoroughly cleaning up the hill, but It's
a 12-12 for now, but it's just because there's a couple of gifted flags here. This Tetrarch, for example, the Tetrarch goes down, and that's at least one flag, if not two.
Yeah, the problem is it's just reinforcements here for DarkNeutron. He has no tanks left, it's all just infantry, and he can't really use his air power because there's a lot of anti-air. DarkNeutron is trying to focus down some of those anti-aircraft pieces, and down south, it's just a complete collapse. That other flag is going to flip over.
It is certainly a massacre at this point. When a 105 is the lead vehicle, you know it's bad.
Yeah. Not ideal. Yeah, it's just really good use of anti-air from Farid, because that's been stopping 6 Airborne from using one of their, great powers, which is airplanes.
But, I gotta love that opening in the first place. Both squad, it's a double air opening, which is crazy, because usually it's, that one guy gets super lucky, gets that first shot, and suddenly everything goes their way. Not the case here.
Yeah, both sides knew before the match that the other side is gonna air cheese him, so they got prepared. They were ready.
Oh, absolutely ready. It doesn't stop the Terrans from taking horrific losses here. In fact, they are going to take terrible, terrible losses. But the infantry, like you said, those AB engineers not able to get to the western hilltop here. And I think, do we have? Yeah, a Ju-88 coming just to destroy these grenadiers in a moment.
Just gonna level out town, and this is really good use of the 75 mils here from DarkNeutron. He's pretty much put out anti-aircraft park for the time being and doing a decent amount of damage in the back line, but the problem is the Hungarian infantry in the front, and they are going to be very hard to rout out. He just can't get close enough to throw those satchel charges, and here's the game.
It definitely, and you know what? And I know the tail of the tape right now says it's really, really close. There were times I legitimately thought that this was going to be, 1,000, 1,500 difference between the two, just because of the rapidity of some of those deaths here.
Mm-hmm.
But taking a look at the kills, we have anti-aircraft guns killing tanks, given they are Hungarian tanks in this case, not to malign it too much. But that kind of thing is just very, very strange. You got Dame of Little John over here, 3 ground kills plus 2 infantry. You got a Tetrarch, 3 ground kills. One of the few times I feel like the 6th Airborne's lack of armor wasn't god-awful, but just still wasn't good enough.
Yeah, just the few extra cards which the Hungarians get, and also just having high explosive shells in their light tanks compared to the Tetrarchs, makes a pretty big difference.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then losses, nothing... But other Focke-Wulf's doing pretty decent. One to run, doing decent. Yeah, there's a lot of decent.
Well, and I wonder to a certain extent how much more effective, even still, those Focke-Wulfs would have been, the 189s that is, would have been had they not been kind of, in my mind, inadvertently sent into their deaths.
Yeah, because they died pretty early on, and they were doing a lot of damage.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But regardless, I do want to point out that Santa came to this particular battlefield. If you will take a look at the losses real quick. So...
Where?
Oh, Santa?
Towards the bottom?
Absolute first shooter.
Oh! Wow. Santa swapped out his reindeer for Focke-Wulf 190 F8.
So, I'm not really sure which one would have been a little bit less horsepower on that one. I'm not really sure what the deer to horse ratio might be. But regardless, folks, you saw it here first. Other than that, though, really fascinating battle, really interesting back and forth just to see that kind of play. Any final thoughts, though, sir?
No.
So, I guess, folks, that'll be enough for us for right now. Until Thursday, I'm Connell Ulrich.
I'm Rangaroo. Take it easy.